Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you?
Hey,
Hey, how are ya?
How are you?
Hey, how are ya? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it.
Good.
You know who I talked to the other day?
Who's that?
See if you remember him. We were at it was about a month ago. We were at the Chug Butt event in Scottsdale at the Hot Chick. And a fan, this guy who's like tall, skinny dude, long hair,
Mm-hmm.
he came up to you and he gave you a gift.
Yep.
He gave you a bag which contained weed, mushrooms, and Viagra. Do you remember that guy?
I do remember. I remember him. I talked to them for a while. I remember the gift vaguely. I can't say I partook in it.
Well, he asked me specifically. He's like, "Did anyone take the Viagra?" And I was like, "I didn't take it."
Yeah, no. Actually, when we were moving out of the house, when we were moving out of the Arizona house, Versace came across it. He's like, "What is this?" I was like, "Oh, I remembered," but it unfortunately didn't make it into anyone's system. So
Yeah, that's a shame. And while we were talking about it, I mean, you probably know this because I've said it. I've never taken a dick pill before in my entire life.
yeah, I mean, you're a horny guy.
I'm already a horny. I'm afraid, honestly. I'm terrified
I
of
feel
what will
like it
happen
might
to
be
me.
like a system overload, like you know what I mean? Just giggity, 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 you just giggity yourself right into some bad situation.
You'll just see me turn into like some form of like Quagmire and the Hulk formed into one.
Yeah.
Just rampaging. the
Just
streets,
never leave your house.
Fucking
just
jerking off
jacking
all through the
everywhere.
streets.
Yeah, yeah, it wouldn't be pretty. You know, it's more for the laid back guys.
What's the I mean, you don't have to disclose this if you don't want to, but if you have taken it, what besides the obvious of getting like a rock hard boner for a long time, what are the side effects? What happens to you? I've heard different things, like you get like a hot head.
No, that's like, yeah, we'll keep his name out of it, but that's the gas station stuff. The guys are like fucked up and they're like, oh, they're about to go hang out with a girl.
Those rhinos?
Not sure. Yeah.
Those
something like
rhinos
that.
at the
I
7-Elevens?
don't partake in that. That's where you'll like get those kind of things. But hey, you know, it's pretty like straightforward. It's what you think it is. I've never like, you know, the times I've used it, it feels like it's a fucking just an awesome experience. I got nothing to say
I had an
negatively
awesome
about
time.
it. Yeah, like
You never find that like you're just hard for times you don't want to be hard.
No,
It's like it only like is
I don't
active.
think that's how it works. From what I understand, you know, it's like if the arousal is going to happen, if something's happening that's going to create blood flow that's really what it is, blood flow.
Yeah.
Then it just like it clears any blockage to that. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
And there's like a lot of different reasons, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really have the issue. It's more so, you know, the volume.
Yeah, if you're
It's
like
the volume
if you're
and
like
all-
20 Bud Lights deep and you took like 14
Yeah.
shots, you might need a little help.
Yeah.
A little assistance.
It's
I
the
get that.
volume on both sides of the spectrum.
I've had a little whiskey dick. I've had some whiskey dick.
Yeah. That's part
It
of being
happens.
a
It
man.
happens to the best of us.
Part of being an adult man.
And you just last forever.
Yeah.
Poor girl. I feel bad for the girl.
I'm gonna get there.
I just feel
I'm
bad.
gonna get there.
I just feel bad. Like she's trying to
Get her water.
She's trying to root you on, but really it's just making you like more in your head.
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, come on, finish," and you're like, "I'm trying."
Can you just be quiet?
just shut your mouth.
It's like when the home team quiets down when they're shooting a free throw. They're not trying to distract.
That's what you need in that situation.
Yeah, we need silence.
Girls can't pick up with a hint. They try
Actually,
to
to be honest, I like being rooted on. It gets, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's like, I don't know. I feel like there's been times where I've reached the promised land solely because of that little boost.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like disingenuous. I feel like they're doing it just because
Well, it
like
depends,
they're just
yeah.
like, come on, hurry this up.
Yeah.
Like we're like 40 minutes in, like I'm getting.
Hey, who knows if that's just an illusion in your head?
It probably is. No, probably 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It's, you know what's interesting about sex though? Like, I've had a lot of meaningless sex in my lifetime. You know what I mean? And I don't say meaningless in like a negative way necessarily. As I've grown, you know, I'm like going through a lot mentally, spiritually on this side of things. You can attest to it. I'm not nearly as I was just ingrained to grow up, and like that was what was cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
just to give people perspective, I mean, we've been here for like 2 weeks now. Essentially, no girls have been here. You haven't had a girl here.
yeah,
You haven't hung out with a girl since we've been here.
yeah. I don't have girls around. It's been a long time.
People probably expect you. You have like a nice house. You got the pool in the back. You got this beautiful view. You like people expect probably like you're doing the rock star thing.
Well, that's what we did for a long time, right? Like,
yeah.
And I personally feel like it when we started traveling, like that's what was happening. Like we're on all these new houses, new places, new people, new bars, new fun. It's fun. And I actually I went to a meditation retreat and kind of had an awakening on this. I spent the whole day in meditation, and I had like this crazy dialogue with one of the women that leads, so spiritual, like the most calm lady I ever spoke to. We just talked about myself, and like, I do feel like I've done a lot of good, made a lot of the right steps in the right direction in regards to just being like master of self a little bit, and like not really a slave to my habits or my programming, and and debunking a lot of that stuff. But women, like, and I'm not even the guy, like, when's the last time you see me like chase a girl? Like never.
No, and it, like, to play devil's advocate, you don't necessarily have to chase women.
Yeah.
But like one thing like that you do, in which I respect, and I try to do the same, is, and I think it probably clicked for me 3, 4, 5 years ago, where like I can no longer just like waste time hanging out with a girl I don't like fuck with. You know what I mean? Just to like you said, slave to your habits, just to eventually have sex, just to eventually have like that fucking 4-second orgasm that guys have, where it's like, all right, I just wasted like 4 hours hanging out with this girl I don't even like.
Absolutely.
For 4 seconds of gratification.
Absolutely.
And like, I'm sure ego's involved. I'm sure habits are involved. In the Bible, many people experienced name changes. And those name changes were very pivotal moments in their lives. You have transformed through your time here, and you need to have a new name that represents that transformation. I'm excited for all the journeys you'll go on from here, and I trust that you will impact many people's lives in the process. I'm honored to have known you. For now, your name is Steve. OnlySteves.com. And this parlays nicely into Steve's book club.
Yeah. Well, you just brought it up. Like, so the way the science of the way habits work is, it's a 4-step thing, and it's an infinite loop.
Yes.
And it's cue, craving, response, reward.
Yeah. So this is the topic, habits. I just read this chapter today, actually.
Yeah.
I listened to the audiobook, this chapter today.
Yeah. And habits, like understanding the science of habits can, it like makes it easy to understand why good habits are hard to form and why bad habits are hard to break. And, you just kind of reminded me with that. But in regards to what I was saying about like sex, like, I don't know. I just feel like it was something that I used as a, just like a crutch, like as a man. Like, this is what men do. You got the nice house.
Yeah.
You got the view. Oh, let's get some girls over. You know what I mean? Like, and there's no harm to it, like all the power to you. You know what I mean? If that's how you're feeling intuitively and that's what you want. But for me, I started to feel like it was more of a crutch, and it was even my experience. And this is what I was getting at, like with sex, like, I realized that I wasn't really even present as I wanted to be. What sex is really about is like, you're on a connection with somebody so powerful that you want to become intimate.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you want to share that with that person. And I had an awakening. I was just like, that's not even what sex is to me. It's literally just like a craving. Yeah. Fucking give me the dog treat.
Rattle off the dog nut, and then you're out.
And I'm gonna fucking run around the yard.
I just said to rattle off the dog nut. I don't know why I said that. Rattle off the nut, and then you're out of there.
Yeah, it's the, and that's not like who I want to be, really. Like, I obviously I'm coming from a place of experience.
Well, yeah. So another thing this book talks about is how habits are formed, and like, it comes to programming of our past. And if you look at us on tour in the past, we're on the road for a month or two at a time, and every night it is kind of that, right? Like,
Yeah.
You hang out, you party, you drink, you hang out with a girl or two or three or four. You have
Yeah.
you have sex with him. You wake up the next day, you do it again, and that's kind of what sex programs in your head. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, we have a really skewed version of
Right.
and I'm like I'm realizing that over time, and you know, it's just if I really take inventory of myself, fast forward like or rewind back to 2018, like you guys were still running wild on that last tour, doing whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like doing the same thing, and I already felt it then. You know, like I just felt a shift where I was like, this isn't even enjoyable for me. Well, who am I doing this for?
Yeah.
If I'm not enjoying it like that, and I don't have that like giddy like. You know, that's what sex is about. Like, it's like a shared experience with someone that you're excited for. You know what I mean? You shouldn't need a dick pill. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a lot of those feelings started to come to surface. And then, you know, I realized this year, like, as we're traveling, I'm kind of just doing what you're supposed to be doing as the guy, you know, like air quotations for people listening, like, just like what you're supposed to do. You're in a new place, nice house, you got free time, make music, cool, go out, have fun. Girls come back, like, you know, and it's just not necessarily who I want to be anymore. You know, it really isn't. And I've actually, I mean, we could use this platform to say it. I'm in a relationship with somebody. It's a long distance relationship.
Yep.
Which, don't even ask me how I landed in a long distance relationship. It feels like it's something that happens when you're in like high school and college.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a girl who's barely in the States and, you know, has a lot of other things going on in her life. But we have a crazy connection, and it's like it's been a call to like almost my higher self to be like, no, break the habits. You don't need it. You know what I mean? Like, be who you want to be who you say you want to be. You know?
Yeah.
And that's what this Atomic Habits book is like. You know when you pick up a book and it feels like it's fucking preaching directly to you.
Yeah.
Like this is how I feel. This is how I feel a lot. You know, and it talks about the difference between goal oriented. Changes.
Yeah.
Like I want the fucking car, so I'm gonna get the car, you know? Or, you know, identity based changes where you know, you change who you are.
Yep.
And then acting in alignment with it is easy. It's not going on a diet, it's no, I eat healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
like,
a good example with health or dieting would be like, I wanna weigh 175 pounds. That's a goal. But what you should be doing is changing your identity to say, I am a healthy person. And then you say this all the time. What would a healthy person do? Right. With every little micro decision that you make. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really cool little few pages. I mean, this whole thing I could talk about this whole fucking
and
book.
basically the issue with goals, what he says, James Clear, is that the name of the author?
Yeah. He
says that the issue with goals is it links your goals with satisfaction. And if you don't reach them, you're not satisfied.
And when you do.
And when you reach them, you get that little bit of satisfaction, and then it's like, what's next? Craving.
The more you repeat a behavior, the more you reinforce the identity associated with that behavior. In fact, the word identity was originally derived from the Latin word assentitas, which means being, and identitem, which means repeatedly. Your identity is literally your repeated beingness. You know what I mean? Like, if I fucking wake up, like I have problems, you know, I have a lot of things in my life that I talk about changing and I don't necessarily change.
Yep.
And, you know, like it's literally about, this book has given me peace, the way they put it, peace with the minute, small, day-to-day tasks that I constantly battle. Being a person who loves spontaneity and the unknown, I constantly battle a regiment. And I feel like I've made a lot of successful decisions or creations off the regiment. Yep. Being in free flow of everything. Yeah. You know, and I kind of always had this internal dialogue like, man, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to do this every day. Like,
but what you end up finding is that some of those habits and routines end up fueling that free flow. Exactly. You know, so you need to do those things in order to gain that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I should fucking bookmark these pages a little more for these conversations, but he talks about that exact dialogue where like, no, you having habits, habits scientific, like they're an answer to a problem. Like your brain, your subconscious brain is essentially, you know, trying to work out, hey, when I do this, I get this, and it becomes automatic. So it's freeing up your conscious brain, because your conscious brain is only one thing at a time that can really, it's a bottleneck in the brain, you know? So you have all these habits to clear your conscious brain, and subconsciously all the habits come through and they shine through in your life.
To give an example, like you see someone like Mark Zuckerberg, he wears the same thing every day.
Yep.
Because he has the habit of wearing the same thing every day, where now he doesn't have to use his mental capacity to figure out what he wants to wear every day. He can free it up for other things. And that's why you see a lot of successful people wearing the same fucking outfit every day.
A habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. With practice, the useless movements fade away and the useful actions get reinforced. That's a habit forming.
Mm-hmm.
Your habits are just a series of automatic solutions that solve problems and stresses you face regularly.
Yeah.
So habits are simply reliably solutions to recurring problems in our environment.
Yep.
So, creating these habits actually, here's what they say. Will habits make my life dull? I don't want to pigeonhole myself into a lifestyle I don't enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't so much routine take away the spontaneity of life?
Yep.
That's literally a dialogue I have in my head.
Yeah.
Hardly. Such questions set up a false dichotomy. They make you think that you have to choose between building habits and attaining freedom. In reality, they complement each other.
Yeah.
Habits do not restrict freedom, they create it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you have these habits and you create good habits, and then it actually just having that structure creates freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It creates liberties to use your conscious brain to do new things and be creative.
Yeah.
And I totally resonated with that, and it was like an aha moment.
Yeah.
And as I go through my day to day now, like I've been on a really strict regimen here. I don't leave my room until I've done everything. I used to today I'll do it later.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the things you've been doing that you've been implementing every day.
Yeah. So that's another good thing to plug. I'm working on a keep going supplement package, and it's going to be the highs and the lows, right?
Mm-hmm.
The highs is concentration. It's all natural. There's no additives in it whatsoever. It's an all natural concentration. There's also a pre-workout element to that. And then there's, the lows is a wind down recovery for your muscles and mind type thing. It's all natural. We've been working on it for a while. It'll be really cool. Yeah. I'm taking these every day. I'm on a strict, like diet, paleo diet we touched on it in the premium episode, but I went and got my health evaluated, and I had some issues, real issues.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a dangerous way, thank God, but things I need to rectify with my diet. And everyone's gut biome is different. Everyone has, so what works for me might not necessarily work for anyone else, but I went and got everything tested, my entire body tested, and I got some real answers. So, I'm eating clean every day. I'm taking those supplements. I've also got prescribed a bunch of natural vitamins and minerals from the doctor that I'm taking daily. But before I leave my room, I read for a half hour. I meditate for a half hour. I stretch for a half hour. And, don't always work out, but I have like a workout area in my room where I can work out for about 30 minutes before I go out to the gym, or, I'm talking functional movement stuff for my body, just pertaining to my situation particularly. But yeah, and then, I get out, I would get up, have a shake, and then I go to the gym and I get some kind of cardio exercise. I go for a walk. I try to do all that before fucking noon.
And then you have a whole nutritional aspect of what you're trying to accomplish as well.
Right. I'm eating anything. I'm eating natural, I'm staying completely away from anything that's processed. I'm staying away from carbohydrates. Natural carbohydrates are fine, but I'm on a strict diet. So it's lean meats, fish, chicken, and greens and veggies, so I feel really fucking good, I really do. I actually feel like I'm more alive.
Yeah.
I used to feel more alive when I was partying, waking up hungover and fuck it, it's just, I think and I could party with the fucking best. I feel like I'm probably at my peak party, as far as like my longevity. And
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. But and my hangovers are not even bad. It's more so mentally how I feel. Like internally, I'm just like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. You know, and I've made that decision. So it's not to say I'm the fucking Pope. I'm going to have fun, and whatever life comes up, I'm going to have that spontaneity still. But I'd like to lean towards what makes me feel good and makes me feel fulfilled. And that's where I'm at, Mm-hmm. It really does get fucking I get fired up reading these books.
Yeah.
I get fired up when I've put in 5 days together. And I get, it's another thing they talk about, these habits. It's like proving to yourself you are that person you want to be. Once you start proving yourself you are that person you want to be, man, the the power that you start to feel, like
Yeah.
when you start to say, no, fuck this bad habit, I'm actually going to strong arm it and fucking make a new habit. And then you start to do it. And then when you get those urges and those little voices in your head saying, hey, no, just have the steak and cheese. I mean, you earned it. You've been eating good, or let's go get fucked up tonight. Whatever, live a little.
Yeah.
Like once you start hearing those and you're able to push those off and you stay and you get work in, you're up early the next day, at it again, creating these 1%, increments of becoming a better person. You feel really powerful. I've read this book, just to put it in perspective. I've been reading the first 3 chapters for a week.
Yeah.
I literally, today I went to the gym, I rode the bike. I just read it from the beginning again because I feel that connected to what it's saying. And I actually really do feel a void in my life of regiment. We are so free spirited and so, we're literally nomads. And it's beautiful, but it needs to be offset with some regiment and some really great habits. And that's what I'm into. Right now.
And it's difficult for us because you think about it, every time we move, the whole realm of like, your whole world changes.
Yeah.
Like you don't know where your next gym's going to be. You don't know where you get food from. You don't know which restaurants are around you. You don't know like which bad habits are around the corner or which good habits are around the corner.
Right.
And I feel like we have to like constantly reassess every time we move somewhere. Yeah. So it's like, it was comforting coming back to Austin because it's like, all right, I know where the supermarket is. I know what meals I'm going to get every day. I know where the gym is, whereas when you go to somewhere new, it's like, fuck, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So it has been difficult. And I've been like, I love the examples he gives on here. Do you remember the one with the British cycling team?
Yeah.
So like, just to put it, just a quick recap, he talks about how the British cycling team at one point in time was like the biggest shitbum cycling program in the entire world. They never won anything. They were always finishing last in like the Tour de France, never had won a Tour de France ever. There were like cycling companies that wouldn't even want the British cycling team to use their bikes because they thought it was just a bad read. They were that bad. And they hired a new guy and he started making these little changes in the program, not giant changes, just little changes. And it was little things like changing the tour bus to have white walls so they can recognize where all the specks of dirt is. So when they clean it, they can make the bus as clean as possible so people get sick less. Little changes like that.
Tiny incremental changes.
Tiny little incremental changes. And it took some time. It took 5 to 10 years. But within 5 to 10 years, they went from being the worst cycling program to the best, the absolute best, where they won five Tour de France's in 6 years. And they became the best program just by making these tiny little incremental changes. I fucking love that little story.
Since the dawn of time, men have always loved to chug beer. In the old times of Bavaria, the men of Germany would spend their Oktoberfest drinking out of a festive beer stein. In the 1980s, fraternity brothers all over America spent their Greek week pounding beer out of a funnel. And for the last 4 decades, the world went silent. Then came the Chug Bud, the new revolutionary way to chug a beer. With the combination of a beer bong and a shotgun, this drinking device is scientifically proven to help you chug your beer quickly and easily. Oh, and did I mention it fits in your pocket? Go to chugbuds.com and use promo code YNK69 to get 10% off your entire order. That's chugbuds, CHUGBUDS.com, and promo code YNK69 to get 10% off your entire order. Chugbud, your beer just got a new best friend.
That's kind of what this thing, like on an atom level, habits, right? Like that's what atomic means. Like, think about all the atoms that make up one single molecule. Like, it's these tiny changes that you string together that can really create monumental change. This was a cool quote. It says, improving by 1% isn't particularly notable. Sometimes it isn't even noticeable, but it can be far more meaningful, especially in the long run. It's so easy to overestimate the importance of one defining moment and underestimate the value of making small improvements on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And it really does. Like, I keep that at the forefront of my mind when I'm like, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't necessarily feel like I'm strong or, like I'm comparing myself like, I used to be way more energetic and like want to be, and it's just like, dude, you put it fucking together for a few months. Don't give up, don't give up. you know, they talk about this a lot. I was trying to find it, but like there's that phase of when you create a new habit where you actually digress.
Yeah.
Like it goes down before it swoops up.
It's called the plateau, something plateau.
Yeah. Where the hell is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's a huge thing. I feel like I've experienced so much. I'll do 25, 30 days great. And like I don't see huge improvements. I'm like, fuck it, you know, like, and you let those bad habits creep right back into your life. And the notion is like, look, you got to take 1 million, you know, how many steps to get up a mountain? Like you can't get up to the top. You got to take it step by step. But once you get to the top, it's just so incredibly rewarding. And it's just, these are all just great things to keep somewhere in your mind. It's not like it needs to be your driving force for every decision in life. I'm not trying to come off like that either.
Yeah.
You know, spontaneity and living in the moment, like we're talking about living in the now. But I do feel like these are actual tools that actually make you live in the now more efficiently, you know, and be your best self in the now, in the present, you know?
Speaking of that plateau you were talking about, he gave another really awesome example about how if you put an ice cube, you know, somewhere like in a freezing room that's like 30 degrees or 28 degrees, whatever, and then you start to raise the temperature in the room, 28 degrees, 29 degrees, 30 degrees, it's still going to stay frozen. You know, it's never going to melt.
It's great fucking.
But when you hit 33 degrees, 34 degrees, the ice cube starts to melt. So like the point he was trying to make is that those first steps, like it could be a lot of initial steps where you see absolutely nothing. You see absolutely no progress until you finally hit that breaking point where the ice starts to melt. And then, but the point is just being patient. And I think that's just with today, like society and especially younger people, like the immediate gratification that people get with things.
With everything.
Everyone wants something so instantly, you know? So I think this book now more than ever is so important.
Yeah, it really is. And there's like, as much as there's all this positivity surrounding habits and understanding it, like it works in the other way too. Like all aspects of the habit formation is a double-edged sword. When working against you, the identity change can be a curse. Once you have adopted an identity, it can be easy to let your allegiance to it impact your ability to change. And they give these examples like, oh, I'm terrible with directions. I'm not a morning person. Like I'm bad at remembering people's names.
Yep.
You identify with that person, it's very hard to implement a new habit to change it.
Kanye always saying he's the fucking greatest. Like that documentary, there's an awesome clip where he's in the studio and he's not even like anything yet. And he's just like talking his shit. He's like, I'm the fucking greatest in the world. And they're like, and like, there's people in there like, dude, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, no one knows no one even knows who you are. And he literally programmed himself to think he's the fucking greatest.
Yeah. No, there's
and then look what happened.
It's just so fucking true.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you necessarily need to be screaming it in front of people. That
No, that's it becomes obnoxious. But even Charlie, for example, where like he calls it blind optimism.
Yeah.
Blind optimism.
It's delusional optimism.
Delusional optimism. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The more you say it, the more you start to believe it.
This whole thing about behavior change and identity change is like my favorite part. I think we can end it on that in regards to this book. Just like there's something really, really fucking powerful about understanding that it's not about what you want, it's about who
you want to be.
Who you want to be, you know?
Yeah.
True behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with one is that it becomes part of your identity. And that's so fucking true. It really is. You have to change who you are. What do you want? And then who are the type of people that get that?
Yeah.
And how do they act?
That's why the Think and Grow Rich is such an amazing book. Because it's not telling you how to become rich. It's telling you a bunch of people who are rich and what they do to get there.
And this is who they are.
And this is who they are, you know? And that's why this podcast is great. Like we have all these people on, these guests, and they tell it, like you can learn from them because they tell you how they got there.
Yeah.
They told you their obstacles, they told you what they did to get over it, or they told you what they did to, you know, reach the big leagues or whatever it is, or to make a bunch of money. And like you said, the goal is to become like them, not to strive for the exact same thing.
Yeah. It's not about the goal, because once you get the goal, our human habits, our human infinite loop of cue, craving, response, reward, you know, like you're on, if the goal is a temporary change, when you change yourself, that's permanent, you know?
Yeah. The speaking of goals, you said something, it was on your Twitter recently. You said my goal is to be interested, not interesting.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It means I want to be more interested than interesting. Means like it's really about listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I talk about, I've talked about it on this, just like the compassion for everyone, and I feel like it comes with experiencing your own pain, whatever that may be. Some people go through pain for no real, it's not cause and effect. They just endure pain and have, whatever levels of dealing with it, or however hard it was to get through it, or if they're still going through it. And that compassion just like really translates into like, we have 2 ears. We have 2 ears for like, we got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Like I'm interested in other people. I want to be interested in life. I want to be, what we got here, John?
That's like a fighter jet.
Sounds like a fighter jet.
Look at the size of that thing.
It might be a cargo plane or something.
Sheesh.
Who knows? Yeah, just curiosity. And I fucking hate being like people that come off like being know-it-alls, or even if you know fucking everything, you think you know everything. Someone has a totally different perspective to give on the same things that you think you know,
Mm-hmm.
And it's a goal of mine because I've kind of feel like I've lived in my own bubble a lot of my life, and I know what I know, and we do well in it, but there's just so much I don't know, and I'm like genuinely interested in life itself, humans, like what other people have gone through, and I think you being interested in people has huge dividends.
Yeah.
You're being a good listener and a genuine listener, somebody always open. It's kind of goes to that like, open to everything, attached to nothing thing, where I'm not attached to my beliefs at all. I'm open, I want to have, you don't want to be a follower by any means, but, rigidly holding on to, that even goes to the identity conversation. Like a lot of people identify with their beliefs as them. Like, oh no, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I'm a, like
even sports fans, you talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sports fans, it's a great example.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just, I'm pretty good with that already, but I just want to keep shedding the layers of, any of my beliefs that kind of rigidly define my being. Like I'm just more interested in being interested and really, and I think that creates great dividends for your own personal life. People really feel like you're genuinely open to what they're saying. Like you create such quicker. I create really quick friendships, like with these guys who come have one conversation and feel like they've been heard, or just in general, when I'm texting with I text with a lot of athletes a lot, like off to the side, just when they're in season, they kind of hit me, we tap in on like some spiritual shit, you know? And I just feel like that comes from being interested, I'm interested in helping them, or I'm interested in what they have to say to help me, and I really do think it's a really great attribute and characteristic as a human being to have. And everyone's so fascinated with being interesting. Like think about the world we live in. Everyone just wants everyone's attention. Even if you're not a public figure, like everyone can kind of be a public figure. Like the audience has become the creator half the time. So it's a slippery slope, and I just feel like being interested is more of a focal point for me versus saying, hey, look at me,
Yeah, I've used, I kind of had a little help with it because I've used kind of art as a way to be interested in people, in the sense that, like, even as like a filmmaker or a writer or anything, like you almost like use the world as like a case study. You use like people as a case study. And for me, that's like forced me to become so obsessed with like subcultures that I know nothing about, like I'm not going to name any names because like you might have some implications, but like people talk about cockfighting and I'm like, I don't know anything about cockfighting.
Yeah.
And like I hear stories about cockfighting and like how they do it, and like even in the US in places you never even think of.
Right.
And like there's just these cockfighting rings, and these are like some people's whole worlds of just like fighting chickens, Not
cocks.
not chickens, roosters, I think, not chicken. I don't know. chickens are females, I don't think they fight the females.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I don't know anything about it, but like that's just one example where it's like that's a subculture, and like those are some people's entire lives, and I don't know anything about it. And like, you know, as a writer, like how cool would it be to just like spend a whole year learning about cockfighting? And
like a lot of the best art is created through that.
Right. And that's just one example, but at the end of the day, it's what gives you perspective. And it forces you to not form such harsh opinions on things, where you start to see different people's point of views, and you're no longer thinking like, oh, this is my opinion, this is right.
I journaled today.
Let me fix your mic. I got you.
Technical difficulties. I journaled today, and I went back through some of the things. I'm like I'm gonna create like the best journal of all time. I'm not trying to rush it. It could be done soon, but I don't want to.
You're talking like a journal that people can actually fill out themselves.
Yeah,
like
but
a guided,
but
a
it's
guided
and
journal?
it's just like really like I'm handpicking all my favorite exercises and prompts and stuff, you know, and just like kind of catering it towards like young adults who are trying to, you know, make a transition into, you know, when you're a kid, it's anything spiritual, not to put blanket statement, but anything spiritual or like bigger picture stuff about life, you're just not into it as a kid, really. Like, you know, it's just like you're still experiencing brand new things in life. Like you just start drinking, you just start dating,
we also,
you know?
The good thing about social media is that it actually sheds a light on this now, which we didn't have that as kids. When we were younger, we didn't know.
Huge.
Like, who do you look like? Ken Griffey Jr. Like, you don't know like what he's doing.
Yeah,
you know, he's just like
there's a spiritual awakening happening. If like it's very present to me on TikTok, I see it. Like, there's so many young people who are just like really into this, and like I think the way the world's going, at some point, it's going to be necessary, and it will save a lot of what humanity is struggling with. But I was saying I journaled, and I saw something that was really interesting, and it prompted me to really think about what I was most proud about in my life.
Yeah.
And
what are you most proud of?
I really liked my answer. I was really proud of the perspective that I've gained. I'm just a different person than I used to be, and I take great pride in that, honestly, personally.
What do you think sparked that? Like, what started it? What started you to make you start gaining a perspective?
Well, you know, it was kind of what you were just talking about. It's just like, that's what reminded me. It's just like experience, seeing new things.
Yep.
Leaving your comfort zone and going after it in life. You know, really going after it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell I was doing in any of this, you know? And I didn't know myself. I really didn't know myself. But I think that's part of this process. Like, I'm not saying that in a negative way. I was being who I was and handling what was right in front of me to the best of my ability, and I thrived. I did well, you know, in sports and then music, and I'm just very proud of the perspective I've gained at this age, and you know, I think my work and all my tangible results and successes or whatever are a byproduct of me finding myself. And constantly opening my perspective. I mean, to this day, we're in our 30s. We're fucking still living free as a bird. Like,
yeah.
And it's ballsy, and it's a little weird, and it's a little unearthing sometimes. You could feel a little displaced or disassociated from reality or society sometimes, you know? But
yep.
I'm very proud of that. I think that's what it's all about, you know? It's really about finding your true self, and I have a long way to go. I do, you know, I feel like I'm just at the tip of the iceberg with it, but I am proud of that. And you'd probably look at my life and think a lot of other things were my favorite or my most proud achievements.
Yep.
It's not the fucking platinum songs or any of that shit. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm proud of the perspective I've gained, and I'm proud of who I'm becoming on a core level. You know, I just know where I came from, and I know how I saw the world, and it's totally different now.
Yeah, and this podcast is a testament to young people like are starting to think this way, and we have an audience who, you know, are starting to think the same way, or they already have, and but every now and again, you know, on your Instagram, like you'll have a clip from one of these podcasts, and you'll see the occasional comment like, "Is this guy serious?"
You'll be like, oh, he really lost it out there in California.
What do you have to? Do you have any comment for that?
I have no comment. I actually
not that it makes you feel one way or another, but
no, I see it and I like I have a feeling about it.
Yeah.
I see it and I connect with them, to be honest, because that's probably what I would have thought.
Yeah.
You know, and I know I'm not crazy at all. Like I'm not fucking abusing drugs or doing. I'm not off my rocker. You know, that's kind of what they're thinking. Like,
but like imagine like 15, 20 years ago, 50 Cent had a podcast and he starts talking about stuff like this. You'd probably hop on and be like, "Is this guy fucking serious?"
Yeah. Well, you know, it speaks to their ignorance, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just like. I actually feel bad. I really, truly feel bad for people that don't have any spirituality to them at all, or any, you know, they're just living on such a linear plane, like this low frequency plane of like, I get up, man, I grab my coffee, I go work, come back, you know, by the time I'm tired, and like, I don't blame them. It's every circumstance of their life has put them in this line of thinking.
Yeah. And honestly, everyone's been in that line of thinking until they aren't.
Yeah. Potentially, like some people potentially not, if they're depending on who their parents are or where they're raised or whatever. Yeah. But you know, it's so relatable, and I laugh at it. I'm like, you know, but at the same time, there's a slight pity, you know, and it's not a condescending way. It truly isn't. I'm just like, oh, they haven't experienced something that brought them something higher, you know, where and some people go their whole lives, so it's not like an age thing. Some people go their whole lives on that plane, and you know what, for good reason half the time, man. Like a lot of people have really tough circumstances, or you know, but I know a lot of people have horrific circumstances and they shine, they go higher and higher.
Yeah, look at James Conner.
Yeah, they go higher in frequency. They go higher in spirituality.
Yeah.
They don't look for they don't pity themselves. They don't look for blaming life or blaming God or blaming anything. They just, you know, and that's a beautiful thing, you know? But yeah, you know, like, look, no matter what I'm saying, there's going to be a crowd of people that, you know, as you speak to larger audiences, it's going to be, you're going to reach people or touch people that maybe it's a sore subject, you know, maybe it's just like they're having a really hard time fucking feeling connected to anything higher, you know, it's not even on their radar, and they're just like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? You know?
And honestly, like looking back at all this in the podcast, like if each episode was just us like bullshitting, like cracking jokes and like talking about music, or like, it probably wouldn't last.
No way.
Probably wouldn't have lasted a year.
Yeah,
you know?
I wouldn't even want to do it. It wouldn't be worth my time. Like this, right. I from the beginning, this feels like a you know, there's a servitude to this. I just feel like because I came from being a guy who didn't have any of that spirituality or not even spirituality, just, you know, bigger picture thinking and kind of the idea of evolution, like the micro evolutions. You'll see if you go back to the beginning of when we started the podcast to now, we've evolved so much.
Yeah.
And they're all daily micro, you know, evolutions. And I mean, dude, the proof is in the pudding for me 100%. One, I know how I'm feeling. Two, I see what's happening in my life. The things I want, they happen.
Yeah.
Like, look where we are. Look where it's gone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When we started the podcast, we were in Woodbridge. I was feeling a little lost. I was like halfway through the mic. Hadn't even rolled out the mic transition yet.
Yeah.
Didn't know what was going to happen. I was potentially going to sign to a big artist and do all this whole thing. I didn't know what felt right. I didn't know up from down. You know, now I have zero fucking doubt about my path and what we're doing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I credit it a lot to just sticking with, you know, you talk about the atomic habits. Like I stuck, you know, for the most part, I've really stuck with the spirituality element of every day, you know, like meditating and doing journaling and doing that type of shit. And I see the proof is also in the pudding by the amount of fucking, dude, most fan mail I have is thanking us for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, hey man, I've changed the way I look at life. Like, and my favorite ones are the ones that like, hey, nothing spectacular has happened. I'm just enjoying my life a lot more, you know? And I think what better gift to give anyone is a fresh perspective to enjoy their life.
Yeah.
And not to say we're doing that, like God's work or anything. It's just like having an open, honest dialogue. We're coming from a place of, fuck, man, we're just figuring it out too. Like, I'm not a spiritual teacher.
It's a reflection of just our own lives.
Half the time, I'm just regurgitating what's impacting me. Some content
Yeah.
You know, like, dude, I've gotten hundreds of messages about the monk who sold his Ferrari. Max Homa texted me last night.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, this book is fucking doing things for me, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's moving him, you know? So what's up, big guy? Yeah, like so many people reach out and say that, and they go out of their way to let us know that they appreciate it, and they'd love us to continue, and we're helping a lot of people, and that's a big part of what makes me feel good. That's a big part of what makes me feel good during my day. If I feel like I'm helping people, I'm trying my best to help people, whether it's through music, podcasts, what I'm posting, you know, or even just the people I come in contact with my day-to-day life. Like, I really feel like if I, like, back in the day, if someone asked me for something and it was an inconvenience to me, like, and I didn't know them, I'd be like,
yeah.
Like, now I'm just like, how can I help? You know, like,
Exactly.
And I like that about myself. You know, I don't want to be the other way. And I don't look at it like, oh man, I wasted my time. I ran into this dude, of course, and he needed to change his tire, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Like, now I don't really look at the time like that. And I feel like it's almost like great work to help other people, you know?
Right.
It feeds my creativity and it feeds my energy for life.
Yeah. That's nicely put. Before we get out of here, you're dropping a couple slaps in the next couple months. I mean, when's the next one coming out?
I'm gonna drop Commas on not this Friday, but next Friday.
Yeah.
And then Up Again, which will be March 25th.
And if you're on Only Steve's, you've already heard these songs for a long time.
Yeah. Hey, how are you? But also, you know, the Only Steve's here, like the demo versions, I kind of I just improve it, make final changes, and
put the icing on the cake.
Put the icing on the cake. We get it mixed. It just sounds cleaner, clearer, better, fuller. You know, so yeah, I'm getting ready to go nuts again on music. I got tons.
Yeah,
I'm working a lot, and
these are. I mean, if you haven't heard them yet, these are two incredible songs.
Yeah, great records.
Really, really good songs, and they're both very different.
I think the lows. You know. We don't know what's coming next, whether it's the lows or the in-betweens. I feel like I'll wait for the answers on it exactly. But I have I have a ton of music. I don't see, there won't be a time where I'm dropping a song every 3 to 4 weeks until the next album.
Yeah.
So we're about to start. We've let the highs live. I can't thank them enough for the fucking support. Also, it's about to be the high season when you can fucking roll the windows down, spring days, it's nice. Run that album back, because I feel like that record can, like, kind of get better with time almost.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt when I made it, and I stand by it still. But I think the lows and the in-betweens are, like, I think the shit I have is without a doubt up to par, better, you know, or better, or everyone's taste is different, but this is a little, you know, the highs was bright and shiny and fun, and, you know, this, not to say these won't have those elements, but it's a little grittier, a little more raw, and a little, you know, I just think it's powerful. It'll be really, really well received. So
Raw Dog.
Yep.
Have we ever announced who else is opening on tour with us? Are we allowed to say?
Yeah, we're not officially locked in. But we can. I mean, Skis obviously is our guy. He's opening. Also, me and Skis are making some great records. Skis is making some great records. I think you guys will be fucking diehard fans of Skis, for real. And he's gonna be the first For the Homies artist.
Yeah.
And then Fresco Trey, and Charlie on a Friday are both gonna be on certain dates. And these guys are just young, talented guys that I met Fresco on tour with Post while I was traveling with Post for a while.
Is he Electric Feel?
No, he was just connected to one of Post's good friends.
Gotcha.
And you know, he hadn't really even put out songs yet, but caught a vibe with him, and great kid, and he's doing really well. And then Charlie on a Friday also doing really well. Young kid.
Yeah, he has a song After Hours that's starting to pop off a little bit.
Yeah, they both have songs doing well, and they're both just talented young kids. I think they'll have great careers, and we'll build with them, whatever. But yeah, they're gonna come out and help on some shows.
I love when these younger guys come on the road with us. I mean, it's gonna be even funnier now because we're like 10 years into this.
Yeah,
we're fucking road dogs, and there's little puppies kind of like hopping on for the first time.
Yeah, it's true, man. Like,
yeah,
we really are we've road dogs. We've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because I'm a brand new artist now, technically speaking.
Yeah.
With the new art, this is the first tour of my.
But the whole thing of tour, the whole routine of tour.
No,
like,
I get it.
We've just done it so many times.
I'm saying that with that plus not touring in like 3 years, it feels brand new. But it's
feels like the first
it's like
time.
new music, and I'm also like a new person a little bit, so it's like it does feel new. It feels like my first rodeo.
It feels like the first time.
Yeah, it feels like my first rodeo, but it's definitely not. Definitely not.
I'm fucking psyched. I'm just counting down the days. It's coming up. It's so soon. It's less than 2 months.
How many days?
It's the 19th it starts, and today's so it's a month and 19 days. Whatever that is. It's like 7 weeks. Less than 7 weeks.
It's not. What is not March? Yeah. It's
March 1 today.
It's March 1 today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're fucking close.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We're looking at like 50 days.
I'm already like acquiring outfits, acquiring wardrobe for the whole time.
You're going wardrobe, huh?
Yeah, well, I keep it pretty simple on tour. I mean, you have it so tough because you have to like obviously have a different outfit every night because you're the artist.
Do I? Maybe I'll just
Maybe you don't. I don't know. I'm hoping you switch over to my side because I keep it super easy. I wear the same shoes every night, the same jeans every night, and all I do is rotate out the socks, the underwear, the shirt. That's it.
Yeah, that's so legendary.
And I can make. these Lululemon underwears. They can last 3 days.
Yeah, I mean,
they can last 3 days.
For those listening at home, I wouldn't adopt John Kilmer's.
I'm a survivor.
I wouldn't adopt his tour hygiene dynamic.
And don't leave any loose clothing on the bus because, for lack of a better term, it's going to be used as a cum rag. Hey, lost a lot of good shirts out there.
Yeah, I won't be around on the bus much. I won't be around. I'll be in the hotel.
All right. Well, we can leave it at that.
Yeah, let's end there.
Atomic habits.
Yeah.